Okay, so it's 5 o'clock in the morning and I'm still up. Go figure. I was sitting here, my husband was on YouTube and we came across this guy's YouTube channel. Never heard of him before. We were kind of listening to his videos and I'm like, man, I'm listening to him and it makes me just want to come out and make a video. Because I'm sitting here and I'm thinking about all this stuff going on. Like, I know that the video I put out before is extremely controversial. Nobody wants to touch it. Okay? I get it. But I'm just sitting here and I'm listening to this guy and then I'm sitting here thinking, why would people want to eat genetically modified food? Seriously, anybody on this planet, why would you want to eat genetically modified food? You have Earth, you can grow it. Why would you want to eat genetically modified food? It's like whoever created this, and to a certain extent, I'm not against science to a certain extent. But it's almost like these people who have decided to do this in our country, because in most countries it's banned. Okay? It's almost like these people have told the creator, and we can debate on who that is all day long, but it's as if they're giving the finger to the creator. Hello. Why would you want to eat genetically modified food? Okay? And then the guy started talking about Christianity versus heathenism. And heathenism, when we talk about heathenism, there's people take that term completely out of context. They say it's this, they say it's that, and they're not actually studying on what a heathen actually is, okay? But the man really brings up some logical things. He doesn't dismiss it completely with Christianity, but he does talk about it and how he feels about it and all this kind of stuff. And he's starting to think that, even if stuff did happen, and there were things that happened, that it was twisted somehow, and that there are some people that are just using most of this for a con game. I mean, because if you listen, because I've read the Bible, I've studied it and everything, not the full thing, but and then it reminded me of a story that I saw of this guy who was a new pastor of this church. And this guy was smart. This guy, everybody was excited. The church was full. Okay? He shows up. And the whole church is full. There's this guy shows up. Okay? He looks like he's been, sleeping on the streets for 2 years, no shower, dirty, homeless, or whatever. So he walks up to the church. He keeps getting dirty looks. People aren't treating him very well. They're snubbing their nose at this man. They're being very, very rude. And so he comes in, and and this man's waiting for the pastor to show up, because he wants to sit there during the service. And so this other guy gets up and announces and says, meet our new pastor, such and such, such and such. The homeless man stands up and he walks up to the stage and he announces who he is. Guess who he is? He's the homeless man. He dressed himself as a homeless man. To see how these people would treat him. So therein lies the conflict. There's some conflict, okay, and some contrast in this. Is you've got all these churches taking all this money. They're taking all this money. And then you got this Pope that's talking about world government. And I'm not saying that the churches have not done good things. That is not what I'm saying. But we look at the world. And you see these people in the United States, which I say live in a box. I've said this before. And they're talking about a lion that was killed. Okay? And I could go, I could go on there. I did this with my kids because they didn't want to do their schoolwork. I homeschooled. They didn't want to do it. They wanted to argue with me, and they wanted to say how bad they're, this just sucks. It just sucks. I said, does it? Does your life suck? Is it really that bad? I said, come here. Come here. I said, sit right here in front of this computer. And I pulled up a video of a child, probably around 5 to 8 years old. Skin and bones, swollen belly, laying on the ground, couldn't get up and walk. And his older brother, maybe 2 years older or a year older, went to go fetch him water from the river, bathed him on his own. And I said, I want you to look at this. Do you see this, son? He said, yeah, I see it. He started crying. I said, now let me ask you, son, is your life that bad? He said, no, Mama. Both of them were in tears. I said, there's people in this world that have to live like that. So, when I see these things going on, around the world, and how people get upset because a man killed a lion, when there's thousands and thousands of children, not just in the United States, but all over the world, starving to death, and then the man gets into the conversation of the relics. He talks about these relics. Well, we know the Vatican has all this treasure. We don't just hear about it from our history. We hear about it in the lore, in our faith. We hear about it all the time. Okay? To me, that people, when you say treasure, they think gold, they think silver, they think, they think jewels. Right? So he starts talking about this. He's like, they got it all in the Vatican, hidden under the Vatican. And I'm sitting here thinking, treasure to me would be our history. Because if you go back and you understand the story, that there was a time where, we didn't have Christianity. So they had all these schools, philosophy, science. They had all the, if they had a subject, they had a school on it. Right? People traveled all over the world. They say Egypt was like a major hub, right? We can see this by going and looking at things all over the world. You go, like I've said before, Stonehenge. You go to Egypt. You go, and all of these places are aligned. But if you look at the different tribes, okay, because people want to think in colonies. They want to think in modern terms. But we as European descended people, I'm going to get to a point here. We as European descended people, some of us are European descent and Indian. We have a mix, or we're Irish, but still we come from that area. Whether you're Scottish, Irish, Swedish, or you're from Europe or from Britain, because we know the Vikings, they went everywhere. Okay, but so did other tribes. They put their mark all over the world. And so to me, the treasure would be knowing the full truth of our story. Because we're only getting bits and pieces of it. And think about how much Rome conquered. Think. Do you think they didn't get things? Can you imagine how much knowledge is there that we don't know? It's only a little bit being let out of time. That is a treasure. He says, you know, and then you go, and I mean, there's some very good things in the Bible. There are, and there's some really good advice in it. You know, my people suffer for lack of knowledge. Well, the treasure's there. Some of it, of course, was tore down. Some of it was burnt. And we can't say that Rome is the only people that have it. But, you know, and then, you know, and then on the Vikings, him and Ragnar and Alastan get to this conversation. He said, "Boy, you sure have a greedy God." And Alastan looked at him real funny. He said, "Well, what do you mean?" You know, like he was shocked that he would say something like that. And he's like, "We have a greedy God too. His name's Loki." You know, remember, I don't know if y'all remember this scene. And he said, "We don't have a greedy God." And he goes, "Then how come every time we raid one of your churches, it's full of silver, gold, and jewels?" He kind of was like, you know. So it's that's what I'm talking about. You know, if we're going to be, if people are giving to these churches in order to feed the poor, why do we have starving children all over the world? Why do we have a pope that, you know, talks about, who's talking to these scientists, talking about depopulation, new world order, all of these things? I mean, and when I get to when I was talking about the point about the GMO food, we've got this earth here. We've got seeds. We can put it in the ground and grow it. We can grow our own food, but yet people who live in the city, and then you get people. Well, you made a choice to live in the city. You da. Okay, but it's toxic. We know the bees are dying, but you know, there was a woman here in Tulsa. You know, Denise Morrison was her name. You guys can look it up. She grew food in her yard. Instead of, you know, if she grew a plant, it was either for medicine or it was to eat. It says in our deal that you can grow any kind of food you want to, and it can be higher than 12 inches. And they went in, the city went in, and destroyed it all. She shared with most of her neighbors, but the city decided they were going to come in and destroy it all. But this is her work that she put into it with her hands, growing her own food and medicine. You know, we could grow our own food, our own vegetables, you know, herbs, all of these things. But yet we have these people who are trying to convince us that we need to eat genetically modified foods. You look at most of the world, anytime they try to set that stuff up, it's burnt to the ground. You think there might be a reason for that? I mean, it's like people enjoy arguing, and they enjoy fighting, and they enjoy doing everything the hard way. It's as if, oh my God, if I become self-sufficient and I grow my own food, you know, it might cut the cost of my food bill for one, and it might make it easier on me, except for I might have to get my hands dirty, and I might have to sweat a little bit. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense, because we could be growing food everywhere. There's no reason for people to be starving. There's no reason for us to have veterans on the street. And then to hear this person who claims he's such a good man, and that he doesn't want to hand over the keys to somebody else that he doesn't think is a good man. And I'm talking about Obama here. But yet, look at the world. Okay? Even if you don't want to look at it from a political view, just look at it. It's toxic. And then they want to say, well, people are crazy. Well, when you're living in a toxic environment and you're sane and you're sitting here trying to, explain this stuff, and I hear this guy, he's the man looks like he's just exhausted. He makes sense. He's like, this is a shithole. Where we live, it's a shithole. It's not a shithole. What's a shithole is we're all being forced into these cities, and they're coming down upon us, saying, you must do this, you must do that, you must do this, and you're working constantly to try to keep going, to just survive. What you think you have to keep doing to survive. Because they make it so hard on you that you can't even relax. You can't. But then they say, you want that relaxation? You want it? Here, come here. What do you got in your bank account? I'll give you $500 a month. Tell me what you got in there. And then they take, they say, here's $500. They just gave our enemies that tell us that they want to bomb us with a nuke, kill us. Billions of dollars, people. How many people do you think that would feed? I mean, there's beautiful places in this world. And, you get some people that sit around and they talk about, aliens, and they talk about reptilians, and they talk about, they talk about all of these things. And I'm sitting here thinking, well, if there's other life on this planet, they're pretty damn smart, 'cause they're hiding from us. They're hiding. They may be there, but they're hiding. And every once in a while, they come down and give us a finger and shoot right the fuck back up. They don't want to be here. If there was a race on this planet that happened to be smart enough to create technology, because even if because if you go and look what's etched in stone, if you go look, there's things on there we're seeing now, helicopter shapes etched in stone, put there thousands of years ago. So if these people had this technology and they got the fuck out of here, they know how bad it is, they're not coming back. They ain't gonna come back. They're fucking hiding, and I don't blame them. My husband's like, well, why don't you believe in aliens? Because I saw something one time. One time we pulled in the driveway, and I thought it was a star, because my daughter pointed it out, and it was round, and I'm like, what is that? And it just shot straight back up. I was like, well, I'll be damned. I just saw a UFO for the first time in my life. Like, well, they got the fuck out of here fast. Because I don't know. I'm just not really. I believe if it is, it's not what's been portrayed. But if they're looking down and they're seeing what the hell's going on down here, they're hiding. They ain't coming down here. Hell no. So, and then I've had a couple people tell me, you need to start a YouTube channel. I did. I really don't post all my videos on there. I'm thinking about it. I'm not sure if I want to do it. But, I mean, y'all understand. And then he started talking about, our Norse ancestors. I'm kind of rambling here, okay? Because I'm trying to gather my thoughts. But, he said they were free. I mean, they fought the Romans. You know, they live free, and you know, if they killed somebody and they did not have witnesses, they could pass by 3 houses. That's it. If they did not stop to go and tell them what they did and they got caught, guess what? They're dead. Because they're trying to hide something. You know, they had laws. And then if you did something to somebody, you had to pay restitution to that family. So, I mean, a lot of people think that we were nothing but just warriors. We were, but, we had laws and bylaws, and we lived by a code of honor. But it seems to me that people of European descent, yes, we are Americans, we live in America, but it seems to me anytime anybody wants to talk about anything, they always want to talk about, hey, well, it's always about Christianity. Yes, you may have a religion, and I might have a European descent, and you might have a European descent, and you may be Christian, and I may be heathen, but you need to understand that you have a cultural past. And it's to the point now, if you're even light skinned, you might be even part Indian, a quarter Indian, 50% Indian, and if you have any, light skin in you, they're going to call you a racist, just like they did my friend. It's just, it's crap. It's like we can't have, and it's to the point where we can't even be proud of who we are. That's why I said people need to go look deeper, because we have more of a story here than what we're being told. There's more to it. And I think most of it's, as he's talking about, is hidden in that Vatican. Not just our story, but several other cultures' story. I don't know. It's just, I know things could be better. I mean, we didn't. Everybody thinks we're not, there's a lot of people that look out and say, we have computers now, we have technology, we have our own houses now, we're not living in tribes anymore. We're not, life is better. Yeah, it may have been harsher to live the way our ancestors lived, but, I think it's better. I really do, because in my opinion, I've always thought that we all I'm saying all of us, okay? Except for the elite, or, they say it's nations and countries and governments and all this crap, and, to make us think that we're all, free and sovereign and all this stuff. But it's almost like they have certain kingdoms. They're fighting back and forth with each other, and they're using us to do it. But we're all living in this this enclosure with dictates and rules, and you can't have a well, you can't have chickens, you can't raise your own vegetables. You have to eat GMOs. You have to do all of this stuff for them. It's exhausting, and we wonder why people are dying. At least our ancestors, yeah, they may have had to fight, but at least they got to live. Truly live. And what I've been trying to reach people is, regardless of whether you're Christian or you're heathen, if you're a European descended person, you have a cultural past. Everybody else has a cultural past, and it's, one of my friends sent me some pictures of her niece. They're having a powwow right now, and she was so cute, and I was looking at that, and I'm like, wow, that's amazing, because You know, there's a lot of people in different cultures that they still do their ceremony. They have ceremonies. They get, you know, it's tribal, and it's like, you know, they're allowed to have it, you know, and it's amazing to see. And then I'm like, yeah, we are just now coming out of a when I said 1,400 years of oppression, when we talk about the heathen faith, folk heathens, you know, we live by honor. And a lot of people want to put us under one label, call us, you know, well, you're just, I mean, we're pagan, but we're a form of pagan. But, you know, they want to put us under some kind of official label, you know, like it's, you know, and they don't truly understand it. Not all of them truly understand it. Because, you know, there's stories. I mean, there's so much. You know, we learned about the Greek mythology. We learned about the, you know, Roman mythology. And I'm sorry, I don't remember ever hearing about Odin and Freya, you know, and Tyr. You know, they didn't teach us that in school. But there's so much there. I mean, read the Edda. Read the Poetic Edda. And you know, we have a culture now. The American culture. They call our founding fathers terrorists. They demonize them. The freedom, they hate it. They hate freedom. They hate it. They hate anything that's beautiful and free and loving, and they demonize anybody that's passionate about that. It's just, it's like everything's backwards. It's like we're losing our culture now. It's like they want to erase it completely. So our distant past, we still can see it. It's still there to learn about. It's still there. But, you know, it's going to be that way with the Constitution, with the Founding Fathers, with the Revolution. All of these things. Because I see people who have forgotten the European, our ancestors is what I'm talking about. Because if you go and you look at it, you're going to see some amazing things. You're going to think, well, I thought these people were nothing but useless barbarians. No, they weren't. Smart people. Free people. They treated their women good. If you didn't want to live with a man and he was treating you bad, you could leave. You could have a divorce. I mean, way, way back then. It's just, you know, and with this feminist crap going on, you know, I get that women want to be treated with respect, and you know, if they want to, if they can do something, they you know, they want that. I get that. You know, and men should, if their women are good women and they do what they can and they treat, you know, they do, you know, and they should be respected. Period. That's part of our faith also. It is. It always has been. But this feminist stuff, the way that they're putting it out now is way out of control. Way out of control. I could go on and on and on about this stuff, but you know, culture is very important. I mean, it's, and even when I see it with my friend, she's showing me these pictures. You know, I'm looking at it. That's amazing. And I looked over at my husband. We're just now coming out of this depression. Just now coming out of it. And I hope to give my children that. Something, you know, because we lived in tribes. We were tribal people. You know, you get that, hear about the Picts. You know, you hear about, you know, it was stolen. It's stolen from us, man. It is stolen. You may have a religion, but you have a culture. You have a distant past culture. It's very, very important. Also. And we should never let the acts of a few destroy the honor of the many. Because there are many. It doesn't just make me angry. It makes me sad. I get, because I you know, and I try to post some stuff showing the, you know, artifacts, showing the stories of a strong Viking princess speaking to her people. I even read it out in a video, which I deleted. 365 of my videos. But every time I try to back off, I get pulled back in. Every time. And it just seems to me that this is what I'm meant to do. I don't know why I'm meant to do it. I'm a part of it. But if you don't understand your history and you don't understand who you come from, where you come from, and you're basing everything solely on just religion and not looking at it from a cultural basis, and it didn't just start at 1775 or 1776. And the reason why I'm speaking of the European descended peoples right now, instead of speaking about all Americans, does not mean that I disregard all Americans. I'm talking about European descended people. They want to say that we've got it all. We've lost a lot when it comes to culture, and we're losing more every day. And it was real hard for me to do that video earlier today. It was hard. I mean, I knew it was the truth. It was unpleasant. But, and I just want to say, you know, I don't blame all people, you know, of these certain races, because of this group of people who happen to be that same race are saying all these things, and they're doing all these things, because those people that are doing this and helping becoming tools to push this agenda are pawns. You know, we see it on the media and we think, and it makes you just, because you're constantly being bombarded with it, just like tonight. You know, I saw this, there was shooting down in St. Louis again. The stuff started up again down there. There was a live feed. But I look, and there's these people, all these people have and are proud and can do these things with their culture. But we can't anymore. And if we do, we're called a racist. Or we're called a Nazi. It's like people's viewpoint can't go past 1939. Or it can't go past 1775. There's a reason why the founders created the Constitution. Y'all, I keep telling you this. The Magna Carta is a big part of the reason why we have the Constitution. The founders knew if they did not create this republic of laws, not men, and rights, that it would just end up with people being burnt at the stake, people being put down in torture chambers, people being forced to put gender-neutral signs up, or forced to make a gay wedding cake, or stoned to death in the streets, or threw off the top of buildings. And there's always going to be somebody out there that's going to be able to look into any culture and find fault in it, blame in it. You know, it's always going to be there. But I don't understand why, knowing what I know, and trying to explain what I know, and try to share this knowledge with people, if you knew what you were losing, and you truly understood what it meant, you wouldn't back down. I brought up Allen West because that was a powerful speech, and it was direct. And I guarantee you it was coffin nails to Obama. Because he said it. You don't have to be you don't have to be white to be an American. You don't have to be white to believe in freedom. You don't have to be white to believe in the American culture or understand what the founders was doing. Just because they lived in the time of slavery, you know, and it was a horrible time for a certain culture, several different cultures in fact, does not take away what they've given to us. You know, I see people like, you know, Allen West, and you go look back in the history, look at everything we've achieved, and look everything we're losing just within the last 10 years. It wasn't because of the government's efforts. It was because of our efforts. It's what we all fought for. Us, the people. Not the people in the government. That's the difference. I mean, there's so many things. I mean, this earth is a beautiful place. You hear people talking about climate change and the earth and all these things, but if your grass gets above 12 inches, they're going to put a lien on your house and take it from you. If you grow a garden instead of a plant or a flower, but you put food and you grow it, the city will come and mow it down. But yet, anybody knows, even environmentalists know this. You know, if you plant these along with your flowers, it's going to help the bees. It's going to help the environment. But yet they take that from us because they don't want us to remember. They don't want us to know that we can do this ourselves. They want you dependent on them. That's what they want. Wow, I think this is the longest video I've done, and I doubt it's even going to post on Facebook. So I guess I'm going to have to put it on YouTube. But I just wanted to stop and come out here because I have a lot on my mind. And it's just, a lot of people say you constantly sit and talk about the bad. No, I'm pointing out the bad, going, hey, there's something better than that. Don't buy into the crap. You can have more, you can be more, you can be happy and live, truly live. And not constantly feel like you're running on empty. And I don't care what color you are. Think about that. We all struggle in this. Some worse than others. But you know, I set my son down and my daughter down when they said my life sucks. Because they didn't want to do their schoolwork. And I showed them, I said, this could be your life. And I watched my two kids look at other human beings suffering. And they cried and said, Mama, I'm sorry. My life's not that bad. Sometimes people need to see in order to understand. Sometimes it takes years and days and months and longer than 42 minutes. Longer than 2 minutes, 60 seconds. I get people say, your videos are too long, people's videos are too long, people's attention span isn't that long. Well, they need to work on that. There's a reason why your attention span is the way it is. Have you ever watched these cartoons? There's always constantly stuff moving around, people talking 500 miles an hour in them. Even some of these videos you got out, like these new ones, I don't know what the hell's going on. This guy's, you know, throwing around lettuce and shit in a bowl and just acting fucking crazy. And people wonder why their attention spans aren't that long. Well, you're watching that shit. Maybe if I ramp my videos up and speak a million miles an hour a little bit faster and did this and this and that like a crackhead, you might, you know, people might be able to sit through it. But I can't do that. If I got something to say, I got something to say. I don't care if it takes 2 hours or 2 minutes, 3 hours, 5 minutes. I mean, people don't have time to sit here and watch this. But I have time to stand here and make the video. I put the effort into it, so shit. You know what I mean? This is what I'm saying. We need more perspectives in this. I was sitting down and listening to somebody else's perspective, and this is the longest video I've made. So I want, you know, more people to speak up, talk. Like I said, our fears in here. You know, Alan West, he talked about Alexander the Great. You know, and Alexander the Great said, conquer your fear, and you will conquer death. Fear is in here. It's in here. And if people don't want to speak up and they don't want to be themselves and they don't want to, you know, speak their mind and stand up for their own freedom, then they've let the fear in here control them. Because I know what's right and I know what's wrong. I may say things that are extremely unpleasant and very uncomfortable, but if it's justified and it's the right thing to do, I'm going to do it. So I'm going to end this video now. I might make another one tomorrow, I might not, depending on the situation. So things are heating up again in St. Louis, and I pretty much expected it because of what was going on this week with the Black Lives Matter thing. So who knows what this could turn into? I don't know. Just let me know what you think. Come on, and make video responses. Communicate. So I'm going to end now. I'll see you tomorrow or the next couple days.